All right, so this is a quick little lesson on how to do the Borderline by Tame Impala, but not the original, the Tiny Desk version that he just came out with like a week ago. It's an all acoustic song, and obviously there's several acoustic guitars in that recording, but you can do it all in one, and it doesn't sound as campfirey as some of the versions with like the capo on the third fret and everything like that. So it's got its own little unique sound. So basically, you're going to want to start. There's two sections. Let me preface this. There's two sections basically. There is a section that's for the chorus and the verse, and then there is a section for the bridge, and there's a little bit of a transition in between there, just like a eight measure transition of chords. But there's not a whole lot of chords to have to learn for this song, luckily enough. So we're just going to start off with where he starts off: the intro, the chorus, the verse, and then chorus 2. They all have the same chord progression. So that chord progression is going to be like this. By the way, guitar is drop tuned down a whole step, standard D tuning. I am going to be possibly referring to some of these strings as like E, A, D, G, B, E, just so I can keep it simple and, keep it simple for myself as well. But just know when I'm referring to that, this guitar is drop tuned down to standard D, a whole step, which I believe his in the recording is as well. So here is what you're going to start off with. You're going to go to the 5th fret. You're going to bar that. You don't have to worry about the low E string. Try and mute it. If you try and hit all of it, it sounds decent, but it's going to be a little bit hard to do all of the transitions here. So I recommend just muting it with the tip of your finger here. Not pressing it down, but I don't know if you can see that, but kind of muting it. So you bar all of this on the 5th fret, and then you put your middle finger on the 2nd string up on the next fret, and your ring finger goes on the 4th string up on the next fret over. So what you've got is basically a V shape. It's a pretty common chord, but if it's your first time, it's not the hardest chord to learn, so that's nice. That chord is going to sound like this. So you start off with this chord. I recommend like a down, up, down, up, down, up. So like you can do it however you like, but that sounds decent. So you're going to keep this chord shape. This is the first chord, and then all this is the second chord. So you just take the middle finger off, and you've got your second chord. So it's... And then the third chord, you're going to take your ring finger and bar all 3 of these strings. 4th, we're going up. So 4th up, 3rd up, and 2nd up. And then you put your pinky on the 2nd up of the very next fret over. That chord is going to, don't worry about this finger, it's not touching anything. That chord is going to sound roughly like this. So far we've got... Try not to hit this high E, but if you do, it's not the end of the world. I keep hitting it, so that's your chord, and then all you do is release the pinky, release the ring finger back to chord 2. So you just return to chord 2. So it's... And then you move everything 2 frets back, and this finger does the thing you were doing where you bar these bottom 3 here, excluding the high E, so the 3 above that. And that's going to be your next chord. And your very next chord is going to be over here. So you just move everything 2 frets down again. You've got first finger on the 2nd string, 1st fret. And then you've got your ring and your pinky, they're going to be on the 3rd fret on the 4th string up and the 2nd string up. So you're sandwiching that string, and you're just putting your middle finger on that string on the 2nd fret. It's basically like if you were to do a C major in regular tuning, in like sort of a like a jazz sort of style. So that's this chord. It's just, that's what it's gonna sound like. And you just repeat that up until it's time for the transition into the bridge. So fairly simple. I will run through it super slow, and then I'll run through it full speed so you can hear, you know, how it's supposed to sound, and the slow you can play along with that if you're there so far. So basically, we're just gonna go for it. I forgot to mention, by the way, these last 2 chords you hold for 2 measures. So back into this. So that's intro. That's chorus 1, which he starts off with. That is verse 1, and then part of chorus 2. So the reason I say part of chorus 2 is you play that whole thing once for the 2nd chorus, and then about halfway through, you're going to transition into the bridge portion. So I'll show you how to do that now. So the chorus is the exact same thing for the first phrase. So then you repeat it until you get to here. You only play this chord for 1 measure instead of 2 this time. And then all you're going to want to do is move your pointer finger up. You're going to bar all of it. You're going to bar the whole 3rd fret. And you're just going to take your ring and your pinky, and you're making a power chord here, basically. You're just making a little triad chord without the middle finger making it minor and all that. So that chord is going to sound like this. And that's your transition chord. Now, in the actual recording, he plays something up here, but I believe it's just a different voicing of the same chord, because this chord does pop up for the rest of the song as well. So I couldn't, if anyone can find out what chord he was playing, the mic stand was blocking it when I was trying to look at the actual recording. So if anyone finds that out, shoot me a message, maybe comment, something like that. But yeah, so your transition chord is going to be this chord here. And you basically just hit that once and hold it a little bit. So that is going to sound like this. I'm going to pick up at the 2nd part of the chorus where it transitions. So that's that part. And then it transitions into the whole so that is your bridge coming up. But before he does any of those lyrics, there's like a little kind of a transitioning phrase into the actual bridge itself. So there's that transition chord, and then it does the, you know, you know, but it's going to sound a little different because we don't have bass guitar going on and all these different other guitars and, you know, drums and all the stuff that he's got in the recording. But this is what it's going to sound like. I'll play through it and then I'll show you the chords. So it's going to sound something like this. and then it goes into the actual bridge. You may have noticed a lot of those chords pretty familiar. So the first chord is just your starting chord for the phrase itself, for the whole thing, for your chorus, your verse, your intro, all that. This time we're not removing the middle finger though. We're just playing this for a measure. And this chord is literally just one string up on the whole shape you got right here. You just move it one string up. So, and then the chord from these last two chords are both from the chorus and the verse and the intro, all that. And of course, they're only going to be one measure for this as well. So that altogether, that tiny little phrase right there altogether sounds like this. And then the second part of that, you're taking out this one where you move up. So you're making it into like a little bit of a 3 chord progression instead of a 4. Because at the end, you're going to add the transition chord back in. So it sounds like this. So all that is that's that same chord progression. Starter chord, this little thing here, this little thing here, and then you hold on that, and then you go up here and do your little transition chord that we did after the chorus ended into the bridge. So you really you can put as much, staccato on that as you want. You could, hold it out. Either way, you can make it your own style and everything. So that whole transition phrase sounds like this. All right, and then we move on to the bridge itself. The bridge itself has 2 chord progressions, and you just alternate between the 2. You can add your own little style by like switching up the chord progressions a little bit. I'll show you some style stuff towards the end on how to customize it just a little bit to be yours. But so basically, your bridge is going to be, again, very similar chords. The first phrase is going to be that exact first phrase for the transition. So it's going to be that little end part right there. You're on the same chord. You're just doing basically a little emphasis on where the bass notes are and everything like that. You don't have to do that, but it just makes it sound a little bit more like the song itself. So you just basically, all I'm doing is I'm muting it after each strum, and I'm going down, 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 up. So I'm just, and I'm letting the up kind of ring out a little bit longer than the rest, but not that much. So that first phrase, again, for the bridge is going to be this. And then it goes back to the same chord here. But instead of this, where we move up, we go back to this transition chord again. So back to this again. So see, it's very similar. The only thing that's changing in both of these phrases is the 2 chord. So first phrase, we've got the 2 chord up here. And the second phrase, we've got the 2 chord right here. And I like to go back and forth on those. I wasn't really able to tell what he was doing for the recording. It kind of seemed like he was going back and forth on them, but yeah, that's what I like to do. So all together, pretty slow, we're going to go through this bridge part right here. So it's simple, right? I mean, in the terms of the whole song, you're really not using as many chords as it seems. It's a little daunting when you actually listen to the recording because they've got so many guitars going on in there that, you kind of get lost a little bit, right? So, like I said, I was going to touch on some style stuff. First, before I do that, though, let me play through the whole thing. I'm not going to play through the entire song. I'll do the, let's see, I'll do the like verse twice, and then I'll go into that chorus where we change, the transition, the bridge, and then I'll go back into the verse, so you can see how that transition works. It's pretty simple. You really don't do much. No extra chords or anything are needed, but yeah, so this is, kind of the full thing. Not really, but this is what it's going to sound like. Up there a little bit, but now I'll show you just going back into the verse. All you got to do there is we'll play through the bridge a little bit, and then we'll move back into the verse. Pretty simple. Check this out. So see, I didn't really do anything special. I just moved straight back into the verse. So, like I said, I was going to tell you some stuff about style points. This is starting to get a little bit on the long side, so I'm going to be fairly quick with this. But style points, that was a stupid thing to call it, but style, adding your own style to it, basically. So for the bridge part, what you can do is instead of doing the second chord progression, you can just roll through the first chord progression again and throw that transition chord in at the end. So what that would sound like is this. And that's just something you can add for style, make it your own, You can do all sorts of stuff to make this your own. It's a big variable of what you can do with this. I'm not finding the right words, but you know what I mean here. So take that, make it your own, post your covers, send them to me so I can hear your covers. Love to hear them. I love hearing people's covers on stuff. I'm a big musician myself, so I like covering stuff myself as well. So it's always nice to hear someone else do it. So that's going to wrap it up for me. It has been nice talking to you, And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. All right? All right. Peace out.